Hello Skillr Boxers. Today we're breaking down one of boxing's most important facets, the lead hand game. Everybody needs a stiff jab, heavy hook, and clean lead uppercut. But punching isn't the lead hand's only responsibility. Alongside your arsenal of punches, you need an arsenal of feints, disruptions, and proactive defenses to keep your opponent under control and under pressure. In 2 series videos, we will be looking at 8 techniques you need for an effective lead hand game. These are feints, traffic, measures, blinds, pins, pries/peels, pushes and pulls, posts. Anytime your lead hand isn't busy punching, catching or covering up, it should be busy with one of these controls. They won't score you any points, but they will create openings, slow opponents, and dictate which punches they can throw. So you can land big, stay safe, and set traps. All of your favourite fighters use them, and you should too. Lucky for you, most of these techniques are built off punch mechanics you already know and practice every day. If you can throw a jab, you're almost there. But before we start the breakdown, we wanted to introduce you to our sponsor, Boxing Training for Fighters, a powerful new app created for coaches and fight teams. This all-in-one platform will help your fighters develop with structure and improve faster. Download today and dominate the opposition. So, let's start with the first one. Feints. Feinting is a big subject, but with regards to the lead hand game, we're talking about feinting punches, hand positions and control techniques. Of all the lead hand techniques covered today, feints require the least amount of commitment. They won't expose you or compromise your position, and they don't cost a lot of energy. On the other hand, feints provide the least amount of control. Even if you freeze the opponent with your feint, their hands are still free to punch. So you must always be ready to defend. A good lead hand game needs at least 3 types of feints: punches, hand positions and controls. Feinting punches is probably nothing new to you. Throw 10 to 20% of any lead hand punch, exploding into the startup mechanics without fully committing.
He wants to find a...
Take the movement as far as you can without compromising your balance and agility. You should be ready and in position to follow up with anything. In some situations, it may be appropriate to take a small step with a feint, but not always.
You've cornered man with him for 20...
without throwing any punches.
Oh, both sides.
That was the shot for Danae, just landed with it. Fountains were lazy.
If your opponent bites on your feint and commits to a defense, attack somewhere else. For example, fake the jab and hook around if they reach to catch it.
Upstairs, and he does have these fast hands. Looking to be the aggressor.
If they ignore your feint, finish the attack or control technique you started. You'll have a 10 to 20% head start.
Sergio, as you mentioned before,
Feinting any of the other control techniques covered in this video is just as easy, since the startup motion for a pin, traffic position, pry, post, blind, measure, push or pull is the same as a jab. Straight out, elbow in, palm down, with slight shoulder snap and rotation of the hips and torso. Feint this startup motion often as part of your lead hand game flow because it threatens a lot at once.
That jab is like a metronome. I mean, it's just bam, bam, the timing perfect, and now there's a straight left, but Clayton...
Finally, you can feint hand positions as a way to open up opponents eager to hand fight. This feint doesn't use punch mechanics, it's all about where you hold your hands. The idea is to posture as though you want to engage in the hand fight in order to draw the opponent's hands out of position.
And this gives me the opportunity to go out there.
For example, you might hold your hands up high and when they reach up to touch your gloves, you punch underneath. You can also posture low and go high.
Coming back, he might have questions.
Posture wide and go up the middle,
Fight a couple years from now.
or posture up the middle and go around the sides.
Get that experience. Rodriguez is here to fight.
Cover/create traffic. Covering or creating traffic is the practice of using your hand, elbow or forearm to cover the opponent's attack lines, placing traffic in their punch lanes. Basically, it's about getting your gloves in the way of specific punches before they're thrown, to stop punches before they start.
Only threw 20 punches in the last round and landed one according to Showstat.
If my opponent has a good jab, I'll try to hold my glove in its path, putting traffic in that punch lane, so they have fewer opportunities to throw it. This simple act can cause big problems, forcing my opponent to abandon the original attack to move my glove, punch around it, or reposition.
They want to create the distance between Canelo and keep throwing that jab. Because
Look at him throwing more frequently here in round one. A good start for Bivol.
Hand to the body. That's a sneaky power.
To create traffic, open your glove, turn your palm forward, and use jab mechanics to shoot your hand into position. Drive your glove directly down the path of the punch you wish to stop, extending the arm almost completely, and hold it there. Jab mechanics will keep the movement efficient, defensively sound, with the shoulder in front, chin behind, and hard to read. And the palm first parrying shape will give you a bigger catcher's mitt to stop incoming fire. Like all techniques, covering or creating traffic isn't perfect. Reaching out to cover punch lanes leaves undeniable openings in your guard, and it moves your hand out of the optimal punching position.
What is left?
That said, it is an extremely useful technique. Traffic can be used to take away specific punches, force reactions, and draw attacks for counters, or as a base of operations to transition into other control techniques, since it keeps your hand out in the opponent's space.
Yeah, he pulls straight back.
Covering requires a bit more commitment than feinting, and the commitment level increases the further you reach.
Hands go every punch in the.
But it's still quite safe to do, especially if you develop your reactive defenses from the long guard. As such, it should comprise a large part of your lead hand game, second only to your feinting output. Measures or probes. In boxing, controlling distance is key. It's something you should always be doing, especially while working your lead hand game. We gauge distance with our eyes, manage it with our feet, and measure it with the probing lead hand. While it's true that you measure distance anytime you reach out, it's best done in the form of a pouring jab or probe. Using jab mechanics but no step or big commitment of weight, extend your arm into open air, measure for a split second, ranging and probing for weakness, then return to a guard of your choice. With proper rotation, the cross is longer than the jab. So anytime your opponent is 3 to 4 inches outside your measurement, they're hittable with no step needed.
Surprised that it's Haney who's working more?
No, not at all. That's what I'm expecting.
If they're further out, you know you need to make up that distance with a step. If they're beyond the range of a balanced step, you know you need to work your way forward before committing to offense. This easy, low-cost, low-commitment technique can drastically improve your accuracy, reduce whiffs, and help you set up some nasty collisions when opponents rush in.
Counter move. And we have to remember, Medina is a veteran of 12.
Measuring and probing also works seamlessly with the other control techniques shared here. You can blind or create traffic with your measurements, and you can easily transition to a post, push, pull or trap if the opponent tries to close the distance.
Body shots like he did right there. Dig down to the body whenever you're dealing with...
Ray Ford looks like he's in great shape. His speed has been pretty consistent throughout, and he's landing.
In this way, measuring and probing isn't just about reading range. It potentiates range control. Measures and probes do have their drawbacks, of course. Anytime you're measuring, your hand is away from home and out of position to punch with any real power. If you haven't trained your long guard defenses, you're also wide open on that side, so be careful. For these reasons, this technique is best used at long range, by fighters proficient in long guard defenses, and unpredictably mixed in with feints, punches and other controls shared today. Blinds. They say it's the punch you don't see coming that knocks you out. And blinding with the lead hand is a means to that end.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could blindfold your opponent, but you wouldn't see what was coming? Well, there is a way to do it with your hands. When you jab, boom, right hand right behind it. Not boom, boom, but boom, almost like the same punch.
It's really just as simple as covering the opponent's eyes with your glove, at which point you're free to do just about anything without them seeing, while they're left in a very precarious position.
Here, look at this. So now they're coming and he's down.
As usual, it's best to use jab mechanics when you extend your hand. Keep the movement short and quick. Aim for split-second blinds. You don't have to touch their face either. 90% of your blinds will be contactless, obstructing their line of sight rather than physically covering their eyes.
The incredible speed, the difference against the incredible speed of...
It is possible to blind with the punching surface of the gloves, but it is recommended opening the glove and blinding with the catcher's mitt palm facing forward. This gives you a bigger blinder and puts your hand in position to follow up with any of the other control techniques shared today. Obviously, you can still be hit while blinding, and you're open on that side, but while the opponent's hands are free to punch, they're forced to punch blind, so blinding a trigger-happy opponent can be a good way to draw wild punches and set up big counters. We have already reviewed 4 of the 8 lead hand control techniques, which you can already start using and practice in the gym. In the next video, we will explain the other 4 techniques to complete your lead hand game. But until then, we would love to know your opinion on the comments. How do you use these lead hand techniques? And which are your favourite boxers that use them? Let us know, and if you enjoyed this video, you can find out more on our channel, and to your left, we have chosen a video that we thought you may like.